Welcome to the Pixel Scandal Nerdcast. I'm Kurt, and I've got some lovely friends with us today. We've got Orez down there in the overlay. Hey, we got Night Sun, End of Line,
Hello,
and Handor. How's it going, everybody?
Going?
good.
All right.
It's good to hear that.
Slowing down my progression, making me do a podcast, though, I'll tell you that.
Well, you know, everybody likes consistency, so that's super important. So we're gonna stay consistent. Yesterday we had an awesome Dungeon World game, but it took the normal time slot of this, so today we're doing it right now. How's everybody feeling?
Yeah, doing pretty well.
Okay.
I'm a little tired. I only had 1 5-hour today, about an hour ago. So
I spent about 8 hours yesterday in Detroit, which was way too much for me.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm not about that city life.
No?
did you meet RoboCop?
I did.
Isn't
Yeah.
there a statue of RoboCop in Detroit?
I don't know. I did go by the which I didn't even know was a thing. What's his name? Like Joe Lewis's fist or something. In
Is it-
downtown Detroit. I'm
Is
like,
it not
okay.
attached to the rest of them?
No, it's just a fist doing like. I'm like,
Fisting things?
it's a
Doing
giant.
fisty things?
Yeah. So I walked by that.
Okay.
You walked in Detroit? Why do you have a death wish?
I was on the good side of Detroit. The good side of Detroit?
Otherwise known
Oh.
as anywhere not Detroit.
No, I was in downtown Detroit, right across from
The
actually.
police station.
So
That is the police station.
here's the thing about that. It had been so long since I had been back there. I was talking to my friend that I was there visiting, and I'm like, "What's with all the police? Like, I've never seen this many police." There were at least 6 police officers in groups patrolling consistently everywhere I walked. I've never seen so many police officers.
Around the innocent foreigners that had wandered
Yeah.
into their dangerous city. They're just doing laps around you. We can't
Yeah.
let word get out.
I thought you
See-
were going to say there were at least 6 police officers in Detroit that day.
She was telling me that, since I guess a lot of bad shit has happened, they've, I guess, like quadrupled the police force there. So that was both scary and reassuring.
Okay. Well, for those of us that haven't spent the weekend in a war-torn town, what's everybody else been up to?
Dauntless.
Dauntless,
Dauntless.
yeah.
Killing bigger things, stealing all their bits, and making them into bits so that I can kill bigger things.
Hey,
Repeat as necessary.
Yeah, pretty much.
get that oh shit, what's that called? Loops. Get those loops, man.
Loops?
Yeah, that's what it's called in a game when you got to kill a thing to get the stuff to make the thing to kill the bigger thing to get its stuff to make the thing to kill the bigger thing. It's a game loop.
We always called that a treadmill.
Yeah, it's called a treadmill.
Yeah, well, I mean, in game design terms, it's a game loop is something that feeds back into himself.
That's a PR speak for a treadmill. It's a loop.
Yes, that is the actual. That's the mechanic is creating a game loop. Yeah.
Well, because treadmills have a negative connotation because, they make you think about working out, and nobody wants to do that.
Well, so end of line. Do we have any announcements today that we want to talk about?
I don't think so. I don't think we have our next Dungeon World game on the books yet.
Okay.
And I also don't know if we're planning on doing a game day today or not. I know I won't be here, but I don't know if y'all are planning on that.
I think Orestez, Nightsun, and I are going to stream some Dauntless a little bit later. So if you want to come check that out.
Otherwise
we'll be back
titled Pangar, Give Me Your Goddamn Tail or Else.
Yes,
Well,
Pangar, give me your tail.
He's given us his tail multiple times. He just hasn't given us the right part of the chunky flesh meat that we're looking for.
Interesting. I was considering downloading, and now I'm like, I don't think I want any part of the fleshy meat, you know?
You absolutely do.
You don't want to get on the meat treadmill?
Yeah, the meat loop.
Get in the meat loop.
Walking around Detroit without a bulletproof vest on, perfectly fine. Dauntless, that's where he draws the line.
Yep. I don't want any of your meat loop.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of here. All right. Well, I think so. Yeah. So we'll be doing that at 4. We'll definitely have a chunky flesh. Thanks, Gidget. Hanging out in the chat. We'll definitely have a cast next Saturday at 9. Ooh, my stream is tanking. Why is my stream tanking?
Saturday at 9. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So next Saturday at 9 a.m. we'll have something. Something will be happening Saturday at 9 a.m. next Saturday. So come check us out then. For now though, what's everybody been playing? You guys play anything interesting lately?
Have you beat Path yet for the 30th time?
No. There's no beating of Path of Exile, but what I have done is I switched to playing hardcore.
Oh, that's actually faster than usual.
Yeah, I've been playing hardcore. It's not gone well.
How many characters are you up to now?
On my 3rd.
That's not too bad.
I keep getting really too powerful for my own good, and then I get really cocky, and then I get reckless, and as that tends to ends poorly, I get Gib doing something really stupid.
What's the time frame of the release for the new season and you playing hardcore? Like how long?
I haven't played hardcore in a couple of seasons actually. I've got a few friends that are playing that just started the game, and they're really into hardcore because they played Diablo 3 hardcore, and so they wanted to do it, and so I'm kind of showing them the ropes. But the last 2 seasons I didn't, and it usually happens about a month after. This is way earlier than I normally would kind of transition over. The only reason I'm doing it is because there are some builds that I've kind of figured out this season already that I really like, that have very high survivability, and they allow me to avoid you guys are familiar with Diablo 3, how they have the reflect damage kind of modifier, and that tends to be like in hardcore how people kill themselves because they pack of mobs and just die. Well, in this particular game, if you use what are called traps or mines or totems, the damage source isn't you. So if they have reflect modifiers, it will kill the totem or the trap or the mine. So I don't have to fear any reflect modifiers and like be very conscious of that, which makes it really fun for hardcore. So that's why I'm kind of trying it out.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
That's pretty cool. What about everybody else? You guys play anything exciting lately?
Well, aside from Dauntless, which I think we've played to death, and some, and then we'll play some more until it's dead the second time.
Well, I mean, we still need that tail. So
yeah,
at least until Shroud and Rezikiri are dead.
Yeah, I have a definite feeling that game is going to hit a very solid brick wall. In fairness, the brick wall's a lot further back than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be burned.
Honestly, I was thinking about this last night. I was like, man, you guys have clocked some serious hours into the beta so far. That's quite a bit of gameplay value.
I got to say, I'm actually pretty impressed with how much there is to the game, all things considered. I definitely am 100%. The brick wall is there. You can see it coming.
Well, of course.
But it's much further out than I thought it was going to be.
Especially in beta.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I was surprised about.
And it's a lot of content for a free game. Like I've spent
it's
$7
free
on it
now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I
True.
spent $7 on it just so I could buy some dye, just because I like looking pretty.
I think
But-
it's going to be free. I'll be honest. I don't think it's going to be pay.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
It might be end up being free.
They've already said no character wipes, so they're going to go into release.
Oh, really?
So I'm a little concerned at their methodology for how they're going to make money because their store sucks.
Their store is
Horribly.
horrible. Oh,
Yeah.
They literally put up 5 items a day and say, here's 5 items you can buy. Not, here's 5 items a day that are on sale. Come check it out. But
Yeah, and then it sucks because there's like no way to know what everything that's available on the store. So like, if it was okay, today you could buy this block of X amount of items, then it would be like, well, that sucks. It's not what I want because I know that you have something good over here that I want. You just have no idea what's in the store at all. It's just like random stuff. So it's like they need to have it to where you can see everything. Because then if there's an item that I know that I really want, I'm going to log in every day and wait for it to pop up. And then I'm going to spend the money to get it.
Right.
But right now, I don't know what there is. I don't know what's out there. I know that there's dye. And so I bought some because I like it. But
hey, Kurt, I'm being told that I am too quiet. Do you want to boost me a little bit?
Yeah. Let's boost you up a little bit. All right,
I think
we're going to see some weird stuff over his face for a second.
I think if they really wanted to make a lot of money on the cash store, they should sell gold cores.
Yeah.
That would definitely be pay to win, but they would make
That's
so
pay to
much
win, though, man. Like
Yeah, it is.
that's a death knell.
Well,
The bad
to be
call.
honest, with the way the world's actually, from what I was reading, they used to do loot boxes, but they pulled back from that because a lot of people are now kind of freaking out about litigation.
Potentially gonna be illegal.
Litigation is coming. It's coming fast,
That battlefield mess.
and so it's kind of just
It
got to
is
be careful.
It is technically gambling, and there's like age limit on gambling, for starters, and you can only do it to some degree. So yeah, it's loot boxes are going to die eventually.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a bad system.
It's too long coming. Loot boxes have always been horrible.
Mhm.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it is a mechanic. The games are not as cheap as they used to be to make.
Right.
And so they got to get the money somehow. So it's either loot boxes was just a method that worked.
Mhm.
If it's not loot boxes, it's going to be a heavier push into DLC again, or we might see, God help us, the price of your AAA games jump to $80 base. Games are not $60 anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe developers could stop putting out bullshit shovelware and then trying to make back all their lost profit on these AAA titles because they decided to release Hello Kitty Island Adventure, the sequel, Tokyo Drift, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, I think that was it.
We could definitely easily eat an episode just on discussing monetization. And
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so maybe we'll put it down for a future week.
Yeah, definitely.
I did want to toss this in here because Handor and I have been playing the last week. We've been jumping back into 7 Days to Die, which is a game I have loved forever. It is, if you've ever played it, it is a survival horror game with full crafting. So think of Minecraft, but the zombies are always a threat.
Okay.
Every 7 days, they come in big waves and break your shit down and eat.
Yep.
And so it's about scouring the countryside, finding some resources, trying to build up your little safe haven and surviving.
The first few days are such a pain in the ass, having to drink and eat. And if you do anything, you're exhausting yourself. And so you're that much more hungry and thirsty, and you don't have things like sexual Tyrannosaurus, right? So you have no, you don't have the
sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Tyrannosaurus. Yes, it is a skill plucked straight from Predator, I'm sure.
Yeah. All of the talents in that game are pop culture reference.
Yeah, minor 69er.
Have there been any serious changes since we played last? Because we went pretty ham the last time.
We played in, I want to say it was either 14 or 15. The big thing that came with 16 was power. So it allows you to build up automated defenses. So you can put turrets. We have an electrical fence around the outside of our base now that zombies run into. They shock, and so they're stunned there for a couple seconds, allowing you to just pop headshots.
Yep.
Super useful. There's a couple other things I don't remember because it's been since forever.
Did they remove dogs from the game yet?
No.
Nope. Not
Oh my god, those dogs, dude.
They're
Fuck those
not
dogs.
as bad as they used to be. They're not yet.
Fuck those dogs so much.
Dude, those dogs were nuts.
But bears and wolves are just as bad. Are still as bad as they.
Yeah, but the difference between a bear and a wolf and dogs is dogs. There's 10 of them at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have version 17 coming out sometime next month, so I would really like us to give it a
We
go.
should put that on the calendar for the next patch then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once it comes out, because they are adding they completely redid the gear system. And so guns aren't going to be a bunch of weapon parts anymore that you just have to hope that you get all the little bits and pieces to combine it to your gun.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to be here's a pistol. I'm going to slot in a silencer. I'm going to slot in a such and so.
Okay, instead of finding like a trigger or
Yeah.
Exactly.
bullshit like that.
Yeah, when we left off, we undertook a massive undertaking that's going to be. I'm excited to get back to, honestly. I wouldn't know, Gordon, if you want to, or Nyson, if you want to try to give perspective to that.
Well, we're deciding to expand, and of course, expanding in a world that is not flat means some serious restructuring of the surrounding environment. So we are tearing a hill down.
Massive hill. It's we're actually on, like, fortunately but unfortunately, we're bunkered into a U-shaped hill that's as tall as our actual base, and
It's kind of convenient.
yeah, it's convenient, but inconvenient in the fact that we have pungies that are coming out so far now, and now the electrical fence, and we're getting to the point where we're capable of manufacturing iron at such a readily available resource that we're making iron wall. And in order to be able to put that concrete iron supported wall in, we have to dig out a lot of earth.
And of course, the fun part is, unlike Minecraft, and everyone's played Minecraft.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You chop down blocks, and the blocks just sit there, and they just wait for you to chop them down. 7 Days has a full physics engine. I don't mean realistic physics engine. It's just a physics.
Okay.
And so if there's not enough support for the weight of this structure you have now, it's just going to collapse on you. So if you just tunnel out things, the ground's just going to collapse and fall on your head and you die.
I almost killed Nyson.
Dropping a house on me.
He dug a small tunnel through the earth, and he was using an auger, and it was to the point where I could barely even see him. All I could see was his little light through this line in the earth that he had made, because obviously the dirt was just falling down. But this just happened to pass through in an L shape underneath of a shed, and I'm going ka-tunk, ka-tunk, ka-tunk. He's like, damn it, Hondor, if that house fucking kills me, I'm gonna fucking kill you with this auger, man. And sure enough, he's passing underneath, and the whole fucking thing just goes ka-chunk, 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 ka-chunk.
Hey, I wanted to say thanks for the follow, K1. Welcome to the the Nerdcast.
Yeah, we used to be decently big into Street Fighter years ago. Unfortunately, it's just about the time to actually get out there and find local people to do it with.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm getting old and I do not have the skills I used to when I was younger.
Yeah.
But stick skills atrophy very heavily.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you do not use them.
I remember trying to play online, and it was so strict because you would get either like someone who had no idea what they were doing, and it would be a fun match because I also had no idea what I was doing, or I would get anyone of any amount of skill, and then they would just like ridicule the shit out of me in the audio, and I had to cut that audio off like immediately because it was That was unpleasant.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I got soured by the early internet experience when the game started showing up online, and it was just such a gamble of connection.
The
in
net
those
code
days.
was always so bad.
And so it was. Is this game going to be decent? Probably not. So I'm going to one or both of us is going to have a horrible experience. And so even though it was available online, it was it's the couch co-op or nothing, as it were.
As much as we don't really play so much fighters anymore, we do tend to always get together and watch Evo.
Yes,
Yeah.
Evo has a long-standing tradition. Going on close to 10 years now.
Yeah.
I love watching Evo, but I hate all things PvP.
Yeah.
Fighting games, I don't play them.
When is Evo this year?
I don't know. They've released the game lineup and everything, but I'm not sure what the date is.
Yeah, it should be coming up.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, oh, we missed it. Holy crap, it's late this year. It's August 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Which means I'm going to be out of the country.
You will be. You'll be
right.
gone.
That's going to be irritating.
Yeah.
We've telewatched it before 1 year.
Yeah, that is true.
All right. Well, I think that's a decent time to segue into our topic today, which is playing games in alpha and beta and open beta. What's the difference? What's expected of you as a player in those systems, and why would you want to join in on early access type stuff? So I want to throw it because honestly, I'm still even the last like 5 to 8 years that I've been playing games in beta and things like that. I feel like I'm like the young blood here. So, guys, some of you have played in alphas, had contact with developers during gaming. Why don't you take the lead here and let us know, what are your thoughts on this?
So the first thing to really understand about an alpha, beta, and something may have happened to the stream.
Oh yeah, I think we're having. I think my internet is shitting the bed. Hang on a second.
It just froze on it and it's back.
Yeah, it looks fine to me.
Okay. Yeah, I am getting some little orange and red squares here in OBS. So if the stream's being a little laggy, hit us up in chat and we'll try to repeat stuff if we miss something. Hopefully the internet resolves itself.
All right. So as I was saying, the key difference that to understand about alphas and betas, actually the nomenclature would be the first thing to discuss. Alpha is typically usually in-house only. Now with the world of early access, that has changed a little bit, but alpha is usually a time where things are intended to be buggy because they're going to change. They're going to change frequently. They're going to change often or wildly. It's let's throw shit at a wall, see what sticks, and go with it. The code is very loose, and it's ultimately just let's get an idea of what our final product's going to look like. Closed beta is usually a limited release. Typically, people who follow their message boards or distribution list or something like that to increase the amount of users in there, get people in there. Things don't tend to change very much in a closed beta. The systems are usually locked down at that point, and it's all about let's make sure things work and let's make sure we're stable. And then once you get those in play, then you move on to your open beta. And open beta is let's break this shit. Let's try to get 10,000 people in here. Let's try to see if our servers can handle it. And more than anything else, let's hype this shit. Let's get people talking about our game. Let's let people see it. Let's get the press involved. Let's get enough people interested in this so that when we finally do launch, we have a stable base. Now, of course, there's the eternal betas that we've seen probably for the past 5-10 years, where games that remain in beta or beta for their entire life cycle. Warframe is one of the ones that always comes to mind. Is that game out of beta yet? The game has been released as far as I'm concerned, and it's been a great product. Has been shiny and relatively bug free for forever, but it's still beta.
Yeah.
So that's basically the breakdown of what those mean in a traditional sense. Now, early access is something that has been relatively new in the grand scheme of things. I think Minecraft's the first one I can really think of that kind of did that. And early access is kind of depending on the size of the group that's running the early access, it can be here's our product. We're out of money. Please give us money so that we can finish it. It can also be almost a conversation with the developers, where here's our product. I want people who are interested in my product. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Tell me what systems work. Tell me what don't. Let's develop. Let's make it a bigger, better thing. And there are games that have done that very, very well, where they have used that early access as a method to laser focus what they're trying to get out. On the other hand, there is early access who have just used early access and they will forever be in early. 7 Days to Die probably will be in early access forever. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't see them releasing.
That seems like a more recent trend, though, with the forever early access stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a point where, unfortunately, if you keep pushing the early access for so long, development creep is always a huge thing that will kill studios. And early access, unless, if you want to keep your game going, you got to keep showing something. So that means your monthly patches or, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you got to keep showing something. You got to keep people coming back, and you got to pay people. So you need more people into your early access. You got to promise more things. You got to keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
And at that point, the only thing you can do at that point is hope that an eventual release won't just kill your game.
Yeah.
Also, to just throw this in there too, nice son. I don't know if you glossed over this or not. Maybe but I think EA really jumped on the trend of the early access component to consistently sucker in the Call of Duty fanfare and those type of games. I think EA does that quite often. They've really almost overly used the
early access. I hate, and the reason I hate early access is because it can be used properly. If used properly, it can be a great tool for some games, but it's very easily exploitable.
Yeah.
Like some companies do early access not because they have good intentions, but because they mean to exploit people financially.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was basically saying. You can do it that way, and it's unfortunately been used a lot of times. But there's other examples where, if you use it as a conversation, for example, Pantheon is a good example of that. And we'll come back and let you go to town on that. But there's a good example of their development as a conversation.
Right. Yeah. Are we now forever demonetized? Do we have no hopes of ever because
if trash talking EA prevented a YouTuber's career,
there'd be no gaming channels on YouTube.
Yeah. Feel free to talk shit about EA. That's fine.
Yeah. So another key thing to differentiate them is big studios versus small studios, and this ties into what is expected of you, or what can you kind of get out of it. If you are looking at a beta for like a Blizzard game, or any of those big AAA studios, your beta is not you participating, you logging in and just playing around. They have metrics, they have databases pulling every possible thing you're doing. You actually submitting a bug report doesn't play into it at all.
Yeah.
They know. They already knew. They saw the error log. They saw exactly what you're doing for the last 10 minutes. But if you're talking a smaller studio or a game, like a Kickstarted game or a game that you're in early access, where it's 5 developers in a garage somewhere,
right?
Your bug reports are critical to to them figuring out what's wrong, what happened, how they can fix it, how they can prevent it from fixing it. Because unfortunately, a small studio cannot test thousands of different types of hardware. It's just not feasible.
Right.
Yeah.
So getting it out to a bunch of people and having them check it out is your only way. Like we were dealing this with just yesterday with Little Kurt,
Mm-hmm.
where we literally were trying to get Dauntless that has worked perfectly fine on all of our systems, but it will not work. And it's best we can tell, it's his random hardware setup, CPU and whatnot. It's just not compatible.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to think of a very successful small studio, or the 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. I know that we've played one recently. I say recently, I say within the last 2-3 years, and it became just a fantastic, well polished game, and I cannot remember what it.
well, if you want the perfect example of an EA game that was released successfully, super small studio, it was literally one guy, look no further than Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley, incredibly game, polished to hell,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it was literally a single guy developing everything. The guy's obviously crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, Stardew Valley did get, I think, international credit for that. Yeah, that's definitely a great example of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I was trying to think of was something that we were all playing, just because it looked.
Minecraft.
No, it wasn't Minecraft.
I mean,
I can't.
There's been a few that like games from small studios. I mean, hell, Dauntless is what, 40 people, so that's compared to a AAA title, that's indie, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Are you talking about like Human Fall Flat?
No, you know what it is?
Castle Crashers.
No, I think wasn't Payday just a small. Was it Payday 2?
Payday was a pretty small studio. They've actually grown over the course of the Payday 2's lifetime, but it actually was a pretty small studio to start with. What was it? Oh, damn it, I can't remember their name. Off the top of my head.
Overkill?
Overkill, thank you. Yeah.
Let's say
The aptly titled Overkill.
Well, Payday 1 was a very small, I think it was like 12 people, and the game was horrible. Like, it was a bug-ridden mess.
Mhm.
And then I remember, actually, it was when we went to E3. We went to PAX.
Yep,
We went to PAX, and we demoed it, and those guys that were over there were just like, yeah, man, we're really hoping that this game takes off. Because they're like, everything was invested in Payday 2, and they're like, and we played it, and I mean, let's be honest, it was absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we went back
Yeah,
and
it
played
was
it
a lot
like
of
3
fun.
times
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend, and there was no line, like nobody was checking it
There
out.
was nobody there. Everybody was over checking out Elder Scrolls Online and the Bethesda booth and all that stuff.
And we
Oh,
were
that-
like, man, this game is gonna be huge. Like,
Yeah.
just the whole idea of cooperative like heisting was just like, dude, this is crazy. And then it did. It blew up out of control.
Yeah, I think we all went back to our hotels at the end of the weekend, right?
And talked about it like for hours
Yeah.
about this is gonna be huge. Watch.
Yeah, pretty
I literally recall you guys. I didn't get to go, and you guys sent me a text that day. It's like, go check this out now.
yeah. We're buying this. Like when
Yeah.
this comes out, we're
100%.
it's already purchased.
It was like everyone was seeing all these big things, and we're like, no, this is gonna be the shit. Watch.
I think that's what I was thinking of. Is I think that's what it was. Is because we hardcore played that for
Oh god, yeah. Played the hell
Few
out of it.
weeks.
yeah,
Bought all
Yep.
their expansions and all that stuff.
for sure, yeah. And every now and again, I still go to it, and run a few heists and stuff.
Something to get back to the beta alpha
yeah.
without busting any NDA shit and getting myself.
Yeah,
into
definitely.
serious trouble.
Don't screw yourself.
A good example of where this could be done well is if you get into a pay-in for alpha. I think something I've never seen before until recently is a game company that gives representation of the people that are reporting a thing. So you get like some recognition for finding a thing, especially if it's a very interesting thing. And I'll use a couple of examples really quickly. There's a game that I played not so long ago where there was a certain spell you could cast on a player that would cause retributive damage to whatever target you had targeted when you took absorbed damage. And there were these creatures that were outrageously difficult and not meant to be killed without like a ton of players. Mm-hmm. Well, what we found out you could do is cast a spell on a person, have them target the creature, climb up to the top of a high mountain, and then jump off. And all the fall damage you would take would then go toward the target. And we were giving this ultra like difficult creature. So obviously, a GM starts like wondering why there's like 80 people like standing around this mountain, and they're like, "Yo, what's going on here?" And we have to, of course, like, we bug reported it, I swear. And we did. And then you find out the next day that it has been fixed, and they're like, so and so figured out this neat thing. And the developers actually post a video showing how cool it was and what they were doing and who was doing it. Like, I've never seen them do like they're like actually like applauding you breaking their game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's the kind of thing that you want to get done in development before it goes live.
Oh yeah.
At this point, like there's going to be rollbacks and stuff, so that's really cool for the developers to be like, way to think outside the box. Thanks for showing that to us. That's awesome.
And that's exactly how this particular game is handling that sort of thing.
That's
cool. And I'll be honest, it's definitely amazing to see that because it's something you don't see very often. In my professional life, I do software development and I submit bugs all the freaking time. And so when I get a patch release and I get to go through it and go, that was my bug. That was my bug. That was mine. Awesome. So, it's that little feedback to know you are participating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
it is in the current world of gaming, if you report a bug, it's very hard to see any feedback. It's also very easy to feel that your bug is ignored.
Why am I doing this? Because is anyone even reading this shit? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Unless you're doing speedruns, right? Where if you're a speedrunner, all of a sudden, you're shouting out to the guy that found this bug, aren't you? Right?
And you're praying that they don't fix it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like this. It's this reverse world where I could definitely see that would be fantastic to have those shout outs the same way that speedruns, shout out to the guys that found that 3-millisecond cut in a, whatever.
Yeah. But unfortunately, when you're doing this and you're like, wow, I found a bug, I'm going to report it. Aside from the automated response of thanks.
Right.
You never hear from it again. And if that bug is really esoteric and you may not even see it again for 6 months, maybe it's this knoll at level 5 does too much damage.
Right.
Until you're going through there at level 5 again, you're not even going to see that guy. So was it fixed? I don't know.
I just envisioned almost like the World of Warcraft. Imagine them going back through and putting Easter eggs to, and let's say you got something. Let's say you got a toy, right? What's a toy it's a what do you call that? Cosmetic, right? So you go back to the vanilla of WoW, and you get to go run back through and find these Easter eggs of Night Sun and diplomacy or end of line, and it's like a fucking egg in a tree or something because the fucker got stuck in a fucking limb, trying to skip to Ironforge early or something. Not again.
Oh yeah, go back and play SWTOR and be like, Night Sun was here, engraved inside the engine of a battle tank.
Oh God. That was my nightmare. We have videos of that somewhere still where
I have it on my YouTube channel. Our old Star Wars,
where literally every time I would rocket jump. If it was within a 30-degree angle of the back of the tank, I would get stuck inside the engine.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god!
all right, wipe it up, people.
Yeah. I have to imagine that would bring. Actually, I think we've maybe I'm being a little too romantic here, but I feel like for a lot of companies that would bring back some old school fans of maybe some old titles.
I don't think it would. I think if you did that sort of thing, you're only appealing to one or two people that are reporting it. Like that toy
Right.
wouldn't have any real impact on the thing. I think it's fine to just promote people to do it. Like
Yeah.
I think if you give people the credit for finding it, for this particular game, found a lot. I mean, it's really early in development, so it's to be expected. There are a lot of things. I think if you did something like that, it'd be really hard. It'd be all over the place.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to
but-
keep up with it.
And there's so many bugs. Like there's so many bugs in like an alpha state, because that's what alpha is. It's meant to be broken. It's in a horribly broken state, and your job is to make a laundry list of all those broken things, and then it gets tasked out and listed and then developed and fixed.
Mhm.
Beta is still bugs, but it should be significantly less so. They should be more obscure, less game-breaking bugs, less this completely destroys your experience type of bugs. It's more nuanced, more obscure types of things that are happening, hopefully, in a beta. Not to say those things don't happen, but it should be few and far in between. In regards, where alpha, you could literally walk by 3 or 4 bugs on your way from one place to another place, and it's just you kind of understand that's how.
Well, kind of nowadays, that's how it is. Where there's like we've been talking a lot about all the different types of betas, like closed beta, open beta, early access, all that stuff, and that's all relatively kind of recent. Because I remember back beta testing for like Ultima Online, you'd have to fill out an application, you'd have to get your DX diag output and send it into the developer so they could monitor your hardware, and you were expected to file reports and give feedback. It was like
and if you just played and didn't contribute, they'd boot you.
Yeah, they'd remove
you'd lose your access, and you'd have to answer questions like, "Have you beta tested a game before? Did you provide feedback? Did your feedback get a response?"
Yeah, you'd have to fill out a legit application, and they would sit there and look at it, and tentatively you'd be approved, and then you were expected to participate in that thing. It wasn't just log in and play our game. It's fun. It was like you'd have to do stuff. It was like work. And nowadays it's just like
you pay for it.
Beta, $5, you're in. It's good.
Well, a key
$200 for a founder pack, and you can play for 6 months.
Well, that's one of the key differences. If you look at an open beta for a game now today, if you are just, hey, click here and you get in, or if it's the just, put yourself in this contact list and we're going to give you access, it's just handing out to random people. Now, you still do see those on occasion where hey, sign up, we want professional beta testers, for lack of a better term. Yeah. But if you are if it's coming from a game that is literally you click here and you're going to get in, or it's a random selection of who's going to get in, it's there for 2 reasons. 1, hype, and 2, it's because they have those systems in place where they are tracking you. They have metrics on what you're doing.
Well, let's be honest. Open beta for more than anything else, overwhelmingly, is stress testing.
Yeah, stress testing. Yeah,
it's just a stress test.
Yeah, it's hype and stress testing.
Yeah, because there's no way to emulate what the volume is going to do on your servers, or when you have a certain amount of people doing the same thing in the same place, and blah blah blah. You can't test that.
Right? Well, actually, there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline with AI learning and doing them to do beta testing.
But how would you even emulate that? Like, set up 10,000 VMs to all sign
basically, yeah. And it's a lot cheaper than letting other random people in.
Can you get any of those
early access money?
Can you get any of those AI to do the type of things that Orestes does?
No. I guarantee you can't. My is broken.
He's talking about just having active processes in a state within
Right.
like,
Right.
something.
Open and close this door 1,000 times.
Not playing
Yeah.
the game, right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
even to the extent of playing the game, like obviously it's going to start off with the open and close this door 1,000 times,
Okay.
but eventually it's going to be raid testing. Like think where you can actually emulate an entire raid team to test your bosses for you.
Or
But
what
then
about?
who are you gonna ban when they start using Star Night bombs on the platform?
Okay, so that would have worked well for like I don't know, getting the first quest out of Pandaria.
No, them playing their own game would have got them. Like that should have never had escaped alpha.
Yeah.
Having two
Yeah.
people do that quest together would have been like, oh, wait a minute, we should probably change the way this flag works.
And I'm gonna be honest, that situation right there shows you what happens when there's no incentive to test in a beta. Because there were tons of people beta testing Pandaria. There is no way that either never got submitted at all or it was ignored. There's no way that
There's
passed
no
through.
way they didn't have at least one jerk testing with all those other normal people who are just
With a
trying
Mac.
to
And let's be honest, that has happened in every single World of Warcraft launch. There has always been a quote-unquote cock block quest
Yes,
in a
there
linear
is.
questing pathway.
Mhm.
There was one in the underwater zone.
Yes.
There was one in High Mountain. There was one. There's always been one where it is a duration of time where you are basically having to get 300 people to line up and work together to do this thing, or it would completely block them from progression.
Haven't
But
we
we never make it past
Hell,
And to
hell,
be
Panda
fair-
had two. It had one in the Panda starting zone, and it had it in
And-
Jade
and
Forest.
Yeah.
And it's not just in WoW. There was one in Final
No,
Fantasy 14
That
in the
is
last
100%.
expansion too.
Stormblood had a bad one.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
Haven't
there was a line that was like I went through there at 2:00 in the morning right after the servers came on. I did my quest, played for about 12 hours straight. Next day at noon, there was a queue going from the quest giver 3 zones away. People were just like, "We got to get this done. We got to form a line to get through here." It was like a 12-hour cock block. It was great.
I quit. I literally stopped playing and said, "Well, that's it for me. I'll be back in 3 days when this is patched."
I went and did trade skills.
Yeah.
haven't we literally went from a starting zone to a secondary starting zone because we
left.
Yeah.
We had to leave.
No, well, Bashir, when we did Bashir, we were on the cusp. We were
got
like
to
the
it first.
We were the first people to get there. I think you logged off, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you came to it, you came back like 4 hours later. It was the huge cock block for you, but we pushed through, and so we literally we the first people to every zone.
When we got to the fourth zone, there was one other person there.
Yeah.
Like there was, because everyone got stopped there, and it just became this accordion. Like it's almost like traffic on a freeway.
Yeah.
Like, once we got the first 100 people got through it quickly, and then it stopped.
Yeah.
And everyone was held.
It's the same thing that we did on Rift.
Oh my
Three of us-
god,
There was 3 of us in like.
that
3
was
zones
another
ahead
thing
of
that should not have
everybody.
skipped. That should not have got out of beta.
Mm-hmm.
Where literally the first massive zone-wide event completely stopped everyone's progression for about 4 hours.
Yeah, it was hours, and we were just like, later.
Like, we would
Yeah.
love to help you guys, but we want to actually play the game.
Well, there was no helping. That was the problem.
That was
Because
it. It was broken.
it was a zone-wide event, which meant the mobs there were zone cap against people who were level 5. They just completely steamrolled everyone and destroyed the starting zone until it
Yeah.
despawned in like 4 hours.
It was hilarious.
It was great for us, though, man. We had
Mhm.
no competition whatsoever for anything.
It did kind of make it difficult to do those further zones when there was no one else to help us with the zone events later.
Yeah.
It was just us against a horde of mobs coming for us.
It was fun though. We
It
won.
was fun. I liked it. I miss Rift.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, what do you guys
But
think?
yes, so I think modern day betas suck compared to the old betas because I'm an elitist.
I think
Fair
that
enough.
I think that modern day betas are basically hype machines, and like you said with AAA titles, they have people that check the logs, so your input is not required. They just need people with different machines to go in and touch the, open the door 1,000 times.
Here's the fun part, though. It is a double-edged sword for the hype machine. Because if you're talking an early access or a closed beta or whatnot, you get that first stream of people who are like, yeah, this game is amazing. I want to play this. And it's not complete. It's still buggy.
Mm-hmm.
But then 6 months down the road, when you do your actual release, if you do, but if you're a normal development studio and you actually do release your game 6 months, a year down the road, all those people are like, yeah, I really enjoyed that game. Yeah, but I played it.
Yeah, I already played that game.
I think I got enough out of it, and I've got all these other games I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, well, do I really want to jump back in this game that I've already got 60% of it out of it? Do I really want to do that 60% again? Because probably there was a character wipe.
Right.
And then play any of the other 500 games that have come out since then.
Or you release the game, get a bunch of people in to do beta, where it's actually legit beta, so there are a bunch of bugs, and then people are just like, oh no, this game is horrible, it's incomplete, it's not good, it's buggy, it's trash. And then the game comes out, they fix a lot of bugs, it's actually a much better game, but it's already got this negative connotation of being crappy,
They're soured
and buggy.
to it.
Right.
Yeah, because it was open in beta and it was so popular during beta and it's got all this negative press about it. Now people are just like, oh yeah, I read about that game. It sucks. It's all buggy. It's not good. Now 6 months later, it's come out and it's much better. There's a lot of games a lot of MMOs have suffered from that. Like the beta is just like, oh, it's bad. But then once they fix it, people are just like, no, it's just not worth.
Yeah.
We played a few games that were really, really buggy in beta, and then they were actually surprisingly well polished on release.
Yeah. Gidget's in chat, and she's saying that's her problem with betas is why play a game I already played.
Right.
And honestly, I think all of us got emails to join the WoW beta, but I mean, what? I've got maybe a month worth of interest that I'm going to be able to put into a new expansion. I'm not going to waste it in beta.
Yeah. I'm intentionally not doing that.
Yeah.
It'd be a different story if there was something I wanted to test or something I wanted to see or just, go through. But it's one of those, I know I'm going to play. I don't want to, but I'm going to because I'm a sucker and all you guys are playing.
We've all got like 15 years in WoW now. We're invested.
I was gonna say,
at this point. We have to do the 1 month. It's whatever. I'm not really interested in the game itself anymore. It's just I'm invested at this point, so I'm gonna have to do it.
None of us are competitively doing it, like rating or anything like that anymore. We're all old AF now, right? So we're like everything is just casual because it has to be because we don't have the fucking fingers and brain capacity to do that shit anymore.
Well,
right?
and even if it wasn't about the Twitch side, like the agility side of the thing, if we're not we're not making builds, right? Like we're not gonna write a review and have it up on Tank Spot day one or whatever Icy Veins, whatever.
Jesus Christ, Tank Spot. That's a
sorry.
callback.
We're not gonna have it up ready for people to like. Okay, this is the build you need to do for this spec. So there's no fucking point for us to be in there early. Like we're here as a consumer. Like just give me the game and let me play it.
Well, and to be honest, for the most part, I get the same amount of knowledge or experience if I go in and I read someone's write-up on here are the tank classes, or I go check out Wowhead and see here's the talent changes.
Right.
And I can go, well, that looks interesting. That doesn't look interesting. That's the one I'm going to go for.
You know what? And I wonder if that doesn't have a small nuance of because we understand how WoW fixes or the way they write things or the way we understand Blizzard's approach to spells, that we know if something's going to be shit or not before we even, that we just know that this is not cohesive for this class. I mean,
I think that's WoW's a special case, right? Like it's what, a 12-year-old game now, 13-year-old game. It's I don't think you can compare you can't compare like when we did SWTOR beta to the a new expansion of WoW beta, because there's nothing new. There's not going to be, I mean, sure there might be some new story, like some new content. There might be a few new like mechanics, but mostly it's just WoW. Like it's gonna be WoW.
That's exactly my point.
And
let's be honest, with BOA, literally just about nothing's changing.
Yeah,
And
because
in
everyone's
WoW,
gonna
and-
be yeah.
Yeah. And while we're all familiar enough with every class to know, like, we could read a class breakdown for each of the 3 different specs and be like, okay, well, I'm reading about this class. I know what this class does. I know
Yeah.
what it's all about. Here are the 3 different specs. This one sounds like fun. It's not saying anything about WoW. It's saying it's like, I already know this class. I already know what they're gonna do. This is the spec that sounds fun for me in this class.
It's
So-
more about what do I want to play, DPS, healer, tank, and what flavor of that do I want to play. That's going to tell me what I'm playing.
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas other games, it's like I have no idea what's going on. Like, what does this
Right.
guy do? What does this guy do? What are their moves? Like
Right.
new games, it's fun. Like when we first started playing WoW, I started off playing a rogue until I saw somebody play a warlock, and I was like, "Ooh, that looks like fun. I like the way that looks. That looks cool." It's
Mhm.
like a new game. You know everything that happens in WoW, so it's like
Yeah.
there's nothing new there. Where you go to a new game and it's like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm playing this class because I thought it sounded cool, but that one looks really awesome. I want to do that.
Right.
There's like new stuff to experience.
And remember, in a
Right.
game's early life, balance tends to swing violently in the first year of a game's life.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no such.
With WoW,
Don't make a character. Don't make
It'll
a character
swing.
because it's flavor of the month.
yeah, for a game that's been out as long as WoW has, and the game that's been doing balancing, it kind of has a system on how to do it. It doesn't swing violently. It swings, but not violently.
But and even beyond swinging, you're talking WoW balance. The top and the it's usually no more than 5%.
Right.
5% different.
We're talking the 5. And,
Just-
so yeah, go ahead.
Just for
That's true.
the everyone else out there that may not understand what you're talking about with the balance. What exactly do you mean by earlier in a game's life that that balance would swing? What do you mean by that?
It's hard to understand when a game. Okay, since we're speaking about MMOs, it's the best example of this. When you're playing an MMO and you're in an alpha and you're in a beta, there's a lot of variables that play into how well a character do. DPS is probably the easiest example. Most games have some form of a damage meter, whether there is an in-game damage meter, an add-on, or a way to parse the output of a log. But there's some criteria or some way to kind of examine the output of a character. So let's just say you're looking at a fight that has single target and you use 5 minutes of time. You bang on this mob for 5 minutes or a training dummy and you see, what is my numerical output of damage? Now you have to keep other things into play. Does this particular class have variances of how you can build them? 2-3 different talent trees in the case of World of Warcraft. Okay, so now we have to examine each individual build, optimizing a rotation. Then you have to look at gearing, optimizing the rotation with a particular subset of gearing. So now you've taken all these different 500 different variables and you have to say, okay, what is the output of all these different variables? That's an impossible endeavor to do in beta. It's once a game gets released that people start min-maxing and optimizing their gear and doing things like balancing it and balancing builds and finding what works, what doesn't work, what type of gearing, stat priorities. You throw all this stuff in the mix and you throw them at these players who have no lives, do nothing but play WoW all day. All of a sudden, a meta starts to build.
Yeah.
Once that meta's been developed, now you kind of understand. And then the people start saying, oh, wow, we didn't expect this behavior to happen. I didn't know that if you had these pieces of gear and this stats all min-maxed with a particular subset of specs, that it would have this behavior. And they're like, nope, we have to nerf that.
Yeah.
Or we didn't realize that this was going to do so poorly, so we're going to buff that. And then it starts swinging. Your actual balancing starts in swing. And so that thing that was super uber powerful last week is not super uber powerful next week.
Yep.
That
So
happens with a new game.
It happens with an experienced game that puts new stuff in.
Yeah.
My favorite example
Remember
of
when
this-
Armor Pen went nuts in Northrend?
Holy crap, that was exactly my
Warriors.
example. That was my exact example I was going to give.
I was
Armor
playing a
Pen-
warrior at the time.
In
Yeah.
ICC in Northrend, Armor Pen was so good of a stat that you would literally throw away every piece of gear that didn't have it. You were better off wearing leather with agility on it than you were using a strength plate piece.
Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, not intended behavior.
Yeah.
Not at all.
To the extent that they had to first off try you get 5% stats for sticking to your armor class. And
Right.
What?
Which even
Yeah.
that,
was a
didn't work, did it?
Oh crap! Yep, we gotta fix that.
Yeah, here's a stat that not just gets better, but gets exponentially better.
Yeah. It was nuts. And
Yeah,
I
there's
think
a lot of
they
times-
ultimately just capped it, right?
Well, they ultimately removed it from the game.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Armor Pen
right,
didn't
yeah.
survive. They got rid of it. It did
They're
not
like,
survive even the Cataclysm.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not keeping this in the game.
Yeah. And that's you see that a lot of times where they just it's called breakpoints,
Mhm.
where multiple systems interact in such a way that you get unexpected behavior, and it happens with new games all the time because there's no way to anticipate what will happen when you get a bunch of creative people trying to break a system and go, okay, well, if I stack this piece of gear and this piece of gear with that spell, all of a sudden I'm doing 5 times the damage you're expecting.
Right.
This is why you've seen game companies hiring people that are like playing their games a lot.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
look
like
in the case of lore. Like, it's not a good example of the beta testing, but it's a good example of someone who obviously had a very good ear to the ground on the meta of the game and understood what would work, what wouldn't work, what the community wanted, didn't want. And what do? You hire him as your community manager because you're a smart company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a good example of what you should do. Like, if you see people who are doing bug reports and breaking your game and finding all these things, if you're smart, you create an in-house beta testing group and you hire them.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop the Reckoning bomb from going live.
That was vanilla. That's
Yeah,
another
Red
edge
Bomb.
case example. That's a really good one where Reckoning in the old days was every time you dodge, you store up a charge of Reckoning.
Yeah, you get
And
a
then
stack
on your-
of Reckoning.
And then, you get a stack of Reckoning. And then on your next hit, you do X times Reckoning stacks. So it had a Paladin charging up something like 10,000 Reckoning.
Dueling a level 1 rogue.
Yeah.
And just standing there and dodging for like 3 hours straight, running out to Doomlord Kazak and Blasted Lands and one-shotting a raid boss.
Yep.
Or
Those are the best kinds of things.
Yeah.
No, my favorite thing is the Plague.
Plague.
Oh,
You know the
yeah. Zul'Farrak
CDC.
Plague.
The CDC actually studied that, right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
There's
There's
a number
all
of
kinds
papers.
Studies on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I am proud to say that I participated in the spreading of said plague on the Argent Dawn server.
Justice, I'm sure that you will be proud to say that you participated in the spreading of the whatever plague that destroys our society once and for all.
Yeah, I'm
Eventually.
still working on that one.
The
Yeah.
super
On that note,
Yeah, well, I think we're running out of time, and before Reztez can spread the plague to the audience, does anybody have any closing remarks or anything before we go?
Not really.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, let's come play Dauntless.
All right. Handor, did you write us an outro?
Oh shit. Nope.
Nope. All right. Well, if you enjoy the show, give us a follow or a subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you'd like to contact the show, you can do so at pixelscandal@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at pixelscandal. On Twitter, I finally got rid of the underscore, so don't worry about that anymore. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you in a little less than an hour for some Dauntless. All right.
Right on.
Have fun.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.